Alright guys, so I just got a $24,000 bonus from work, and before you get all excited, let me tell you exactly what happened, because it was not as glamorous as it sounds on paper. Yeah, it looks amazing. 24 grand is a lot of money, no question about it. But then Uncle Sam showed up and took his cut, and let me tell you that hurt. After taxes, I saw $12,000 actually land in my bank account, just 12. So right off the bat, almost half of that bonus disappeared, and that is just the reality of getting a big check like this when you are a W-2 employee. You don't get to dodge those taxes, they take it before you even see it. And I know some of you are probably thinking, oh man, that sucks, Reed. Why would you even want a bonus if they take that much? And I get it, it stings. But here's the thing, I would rather have $12,000 than $0. And I would rather have that money working for me in the right places than sitting in my checking account waiting to be spent on stuff I do not need. So before I even saw a single dollar of that $12,000, I had already routed $3,600 straight into my Roth 401k. I love doing this because it forces discipline. I do not even have to think about it. It just happens automatically. And if you are not doing something similar with your own money, you need to start because willpower is overrated. You cannot rely on yourself to make the right decision every single time. You have to set up systems that make the right decision, the default decision. That is what the Roth 401k contribution does. For me, it takes the money before I can touch it and puts it to work in my retirement account. And the best part is I do not even miss it because I never saw it in my checking account in the first place. Now, after that $12,000 actually showed up in my bank account, I had to decide what to do next, and I knew exactly what my first move was going to be. I finished maxing out my Roth IRA with an additional $6,000 contribution. Now, for those of you who do not know what a Roth IRA is, let me break it down real quick because this account is honestly one of the most powerful tools us normal people have for building wealth. A Roth IRA is a retirement account where you contribute money that has already been taxed. So you pay taxes on it now, and then when you retire and take the money out, you do not pay any taxes on the growth. That means every single dollar of profit you make inside that account over the next 30 or 40 years is completely tax-free. That is huge, and there is no way I was going to leave that opportunity on the table. So I maxed it out, no hesitation, no overthinking. I just did it. And here's why that decision was so important to me. By maxing out my Roth IRA early in the year, like before April, I basically removed that financial obligation for the rest of the year. I do not have to worry about scraping together money later to hit that limit. It is already done, and that frees up a ton of cash in the coming months that I can now redirect into my brokerage account. That is a big deal for me because my brokerage account is becoming more and more of a focus as I work toward building a more flexible investment portfolio. But there is also a mental shift that happens when you max out your Roth IRA early in the calendar year. You feel like you are ahead, you feel like you have momentum, and that momentum makes you want to keep investing. It makes you want to stay consistent. It is like starting a football game up 28-3. You feel unstoppable, right? And the key is not blowing that lead. Sorry to any Falcons fans out there. I know that one still hurts. But seriously, when you get that kind of early win, it changes your whole mindset for the rest of the year. You stop thinking about what you cannot do and start thinking about what you can do next. And on top of all that, I am actually excited to be putting this money to work right now because the market has been down. A lot of people get scared when the market drops. They see their ETF prices falling and they panic, they sell, they pull their money out, they wait for things to get better. But that is exactly the wrong move when the market is down. All the same ETFs that I always buy are essentially on sale. I can buy more shares for the same amount of money, and over the long term when those ETFs recover, I am going to be sitting on a much bigger pile of shares than I would have if I had waited. That is how you build wealth faster. You do not get scared by the dips. You take advantage of them. Now, after all that investing, I had $6,000 left in my account, and this is where things get really tempting. This is where most people screw up. They get a bonus, and they immediately start thinking about what they can buy, a new car, a fancy vacation, a bigger television. Maybe they go out and treat all their friends to dinner, and before they know it, that money is gone, and they have nothing to show for it. I have been there. I know exactly how that feels. When I was in my early 20s, I got a smaller bonus and I spent it all within a week on stuff I cannot even remember now, clothes, eating out random junk. And when I looked at my bank account afterwards, I felt sick. I had nothing to show for it, no savings, no investments, just stuff that I did not really need. So this time I wanted a balanced approach. I did not want to be the guy who saves every single penny and never enjoys life, but I also did not want to be the guy who blows it all and has nothing to show for it. So I split it right down the middle. $3,000 went toward fun spending on whatever I decide. Could be a trip, could be a nice dinner, could be something for my fiance and our dog. I do not know yet. But the point is, I gave myself permission to enjoy some of this money because I have already handled the important investing milestones, and the other $3,000 went straight into my taxable brokerage account, continuing to build that bucket of flexible investments that will eventually give me the option of early retirement. Let me tell you a little bit more about my brokerage account because this is something I have been thinking about a lot lately. Right now, it is sitting just over $45,000. And in my mind, I want this to hit $60,000 by the end of the year. That would be a massive milestone for me, and honestly, it would put me in a really strong position financially. But I am also trying to balance this with real life because my fiance and I are saving for a wedding right now. And if you have ever planned a wedding or helped pay for one, you know, it is expensive, like really expensive. So that $60,000 goal is definitely a stretch. It is something I am aiming for, but if I come up a little short, it is not the end of the world. Me and my fiance are prioritizing experiences and saving for the wedding as well. And that is the bigger point here. All of this is not about hitting the perfect investment numbers overnight. It is about taking advantage of a good opportunity when it comes your way. The key thing with getting a large bonus like this is not letting lifestyle creep sneak in and steal what could have been a massive step forward for you financially. And this is exactly how people stay stuck. They get a bonus or a raise and the first instinct is, what can I go buy? Instead of, how can I use this money to earn my financial freedom through investing? That is when you see people upgrading their cars, increasing their monthly expenses, locking themselves into a lifestyle they cannot actually afford. And then they wonder why they are broke, even though they are making more money than ever. That is not going to be me. I have been broke before. I have been that guy living paycheck to paycheck with no savings and no plan, and I never want to go back to that. If you slow down for just a second and actually think about the trade-off, it becomes really clear why investing is the smarter move. Let me give you an example. That extra $6,000 I just put into my Roth IRA with this bonus. I can literally project what that turns into over time. When I run it through a compounding interest calculator at a conservative 7% return to account for inflation, instead of the typical 10% return you would get from the S&P 500 here, is what it looks like. Just $6,000 invested today will turn into over $55,000 in today's purchasing power by the time I am 60 years old. $55,000 from just $6,000. That is the power of compounding, and that is the shift I want you to start making. Instead of just seeing what something costs you today, start seeing what it actually costs you in the future when you give up that compounding effect. So yes, I could have had an additional $6,000 to go spend on whatever I wanted. A new gadget, a fancy vacation, a nicer car, but I see that $6,000 differently. Now, I see it as $55,000 I would be giving up later. And when you put it that way, the choice becomes a lot easier. Now, that does not mean I never want to spend my money. And I do not want you to sit at home cooking up spreadsheets all day and never spending a dime either. That is not realistic, and it is not the life most people actually want to live. I am a big believer in enjoying the present too. I just got back from a camping trip with my fiance and our dog, and it was an awesome time. We hiked. We cooked over a fire. We sat under the stars. It was simple and it was cheap. And it was one of the best weekends I have had in a long time. You do not need to spend a ton of money to have a good time, but when you do want to spend money, you should do it from a position of control, not impulse. That is really what this whole video is about. If you get a bonus or a raise or a bigger paycheck, you need to be prioritizing investing. If you want to build your financial freedom, take care of your future self up front, and enjoy what is left without guilt. Do not do it the other way around, where you spend first and then wonder why you are not getting ahead. That is the trap that keeps people stuck in the same cycle year after year. They make more money, but their lifestyle expands to match it, and they never build any real wealth. And then 10 years go by, and they are still in the same spot, wondering what happened. I think about my own journey a lot. When I was 22 years old, I was a mess with money. I had credit card debt. I was spending my whole paycheck before I even got it. I had no savings, no investments, no plan. I was just floating through life, hoping things would work out. And surprise, surprise, they did not. I hit a point where I realized I needed to make a change. I started reading about personal finance. I started watching videos like this one. I started making small changes that added up over time. And now here I am at 27 with a fully funded emergency fund, a maxed out Roth IRA, a growing brokerage account, and a plan for the future. I am not rich. I am not a financial expert. I am just a normal dude who decided to take control of his money instead of letting his money control him. And that is what I want for you too. I want you to look at your own situation and ask yourself, am I making the best use of the money I have? If you got a bonus today, what would you do with it? Would you spend it all? Would you save some? Would you invest it? There is no single right answer for everybody. But the smartest move is usually somewhere in the middle. Invest for your future, enjoy your present, and do not let lifestyle creep steal your progress. So that is everything I have for this video. Let me know down in the comments what you would have done with a $24,000 bonus. Would you have invested it? Would you have spent it? Would you have done something totally different? I would love to hear your take. And as always, thanks for watching and sticking around until the end. I know these videos can get a little long, but I really appreciate you being here if you got something out of this video. Consider sharing it with a friend who needs to hear it too, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.